Hi, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home.
Yeah. Our intro should always sound like Napoleon Dynamite getting electrocuted. Thanks, man. Kill power, kill. I heard you coughing through the entire intro.
I started choking. I swallowed. I don't know. I was laughing because we started rolling right when the Red Wings gave up a goal. Do I have to? Man, if only you guys knew what a square I was. I get made fun of at work all the time because I'm such a huge square. For anybody not watching on YouTube, Jared threw out there, Matt, do I have time to hit this bowl? I did. Oh, Curtis, perfect. Hi, guys.
Perfect.
It came out one day at work, like everybody was kind of talking about drugs, and I'm just like giggling, like laughing like you're supposed to. Like I know cadences for jokes and stuff. And then I don't know.
Hey, what about your drug experience?
Yeah,
like when you touch a woman's breast and it feels like a bag of sand. A bag of sand? What? Yeah,
Well, it was almost worse than that because I immediately was like, I've never done any drugs, and the response was, that makes perfect sense, and I was like, what? That's what makes perfect sense.
There's a separate group chat where we talk about this stuff, about how we can tell Matt hasn't done drugs, and then Chewy. With all my health stuff, I don't drink or smoke anything. I've always been a hood boy.
A good boy. Good job, Chewy.
It should be Matt Hood Boy Chewy Nichols.
Jared throws out there, looks like the DARE program of Southeast Michigan worked on at least one person. It did. I gave a presentation in 5th grade for my DARE program. That was my first time public speaking. I got up in front of like 100 people and had to read an essay.
Wow. You're able to drown out all their booze? That's pretty cool. Good for you, Matt.
Yeah, I went to a prison. Woo! Dan B, Xavier Ouellette is a stud. Why can't we get guys like that? I remember having my, like, what would it be, like NHL like 14 or 15 team, like Ryan Sproul and Xavier Ouellette both going like Norris Trophy, like year after year after year. Sproly was my man. That was going to be my right shot defenseman of the future. But
yep. And then Murdoch saying, "Evening, bros. Let's go Red Wings."
Woo! Jared. Oh,
go for it. Literally smoking a J outside in the California sun, listening to this drugs talk. Good for you, Curtis. Yeah.
Well, you're not. I mean, there's another person on the show that has.
Yeah, I'm more about mushrooms than marijuana. I've had some rough marijuana experiences, but mushrooms, it was really cool. We turned it into a tea, drank it outside, and it was the first time I noticed there's a bluebird nest in my tree in the backyard.
Was there actually a bluebird nest?
There was that day, and that's all we needed.
See, I'm not against it. My wife and I talk all the time, and I'm like, okay, if we go on this trip with, like her friends have like commented, like, we'll hook you up, we'll get you guys, what you want. And then we're like, all right, yeah, we'll do it this trip. And then like something will happen and we have to cancel the trip. But like, we've talked about it. Like we're not like against it. And I think we're in the position right now where we're like, make sure the kids, like, now I have to make sure the kids don't hear me talking about it right now. But yeah, we're talking.
This is your opportunity to use Harold Ramis's advice from Knocked Up. If it grows in the ground, it's probably okay. I still live by
we don't want to. We're not calling Walter White at any point, but
throwing out there some mushroom ultimatums, Porcini or Morel. We've actually been morel hunting out here in Michigan, and we have a spot, but we can't tell you what it is because we don't want to share them, Dan.
There you go, Dad. You just made a non-friend.
There we go. Well, we know that morels are good, but just don't like sharing them. And then Chewy thrown in just a big Wings fan chatting with like-minded guys. Speaking of like-minded guys, Matt, look at that segue. Beautiful.
We need one more Wings fan. That says 6 more. We need one more. We need one more person for our fantasy league. Otherwise, I'm going to have to delete somebody for this draft to go down, which you guys, that's mean. Nobody wants that to happen.
Oh, I have a guy. Don't worry, I have a backup.
You have a backup? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a backup plan. His name is Dad.
No, I was not going to invite Dad.
But yeah, we do have one more spot. Like we mentioned, guys, if you want to join, you didn't join last year, but you want to, I think Ketzel won a Simon Edmondson jersey last year. That's how we got to become good enemies with Vintage Detroit, because they sent Ketzel the wrong jersey. But
outstanding.
Yeah, that was great. There's so many places that do great jerseys. My last one was from Cool Hockey. It was a Dylan Larkin jersey. It was perfect. I don't know why anybody's ever had a problem with Cool Hockey. I've only had good things. And you know what they sell, Mike? They sell the thing that's on the website. They don't sell something different, so that when Ketzel receives it, he goes, "Hey guys, what the fuck is this?" And I have to say, "Well, I paid full price for it." Anyway, shout out to Cool Hockey. Let's do that, right? Positive. Cool Hockey did the right thing. I'll stop talking about the other.
Yeah, let's get that third sponsorship, baby.
Woo! Thanks, Mike.
Jared likes when I do a digression. For my own accord there. So no problem, Jared. That was for both of us, buddy.
We also have, you know what? I meant to make a QR code for this too, but so if anybody watching on YouTube and you're not on your phone, but maybe we have made a Discord and we only have one buddy, and I think it's just I think it's Blake that's on there. I looked I set it up, and I haven't gone back into it since day one because I haven't gotten a notification of anybody else signing up, but also I wasn't really ready for it. You know, like I was like, let's wait till the regular season. And I can't even find Discord on my phone right now. There it is. Just had to search for it. Red Wings Rant. You guys should be able to find it as Red Wings Ranters. And yeah, we have Mike, you're not even in there yet. So
I should probably fire up the old Discord here.
We're going to have just the general Red Wings talk. We have a game day channel for everyone, and the rant and vent channel. So for anybody that wants to talk about how not excited they are to become the 2023-24 version of last year's Seattle Kraken, that's where you'd go. Speaking of which,
right there. Yeah.
Topic of the show. I mean, we have a couple different things we want to talk about today. We have a short list of slides, but we'd love to turn this more into a discussion because we've all read the Max Bultman articles. So we have a couple that I think what we're saying here for the 2023 Seattle Kraken, or the 23-24 version of the last year's Seattle Kraken, is like Max Bultman made a great case for it. Like for sure, like become the team that got to face the Coyotes a bunch of times. I mean, like that's where we'll take a look at that too. Like the Kraken got a lot of easy points last year, but is that ultimately what we're looking for? And it's like, sure, fine, yeah, you could compare player to player on each roster, and you can go like listen to Daniel Sprong on his most recent interviews, like post game, and him saying like, oh man, we've got scoring up and down this lineup, and you just start to question like, well, yeah, if it's like these two lines will score 2 goals this night and those 2 lines will score 2 goals the next night, you still lose 3-2. So you just I'm trying to, there isn't anything wrong being said by Max Boltman. It's just, that wasn't the end game, right? Like, is that really just like the consolation prize for being a Wings fan this year? But we'll get into it, right? So we have other things to talk about. Starting with maybe some really good news, because we're at what? We're like 83 million in cap right now. And what I pulled up for the podcast listeners, Elliot Friedman from the Board of Governors, Commissioner Gary Bettman, said a very preliminary estimate for the cap next year is between 87 and 88 million. He's stressed. Very preliminary. Mike, right now, Cap Friendly has put in there, according to the, based on this number, a nice round 87.5 million. Leaving us, Mike, with Moritz Seider, Lucas Raymond ready to get paid with 30.9, we'll just say almost $31 million next year, Mike. Boy, oh boy.
I would really like to obviously extend some of our homegrown guys, but we've talked about this is a pretty fascinating offseason coming up. And Matt, I'm still seeing that there's some teams projected to be over the cap as of right now on Cap Friendly.
Yeah, you kind of, so like what does happen, right, with like a William Nylander? Now let's not forget too, like heading into next year, I some people are going to be mad that I'm even saying this name, but I mean legit. Come on, let's be real here. But I pulled up the Leafs. I mean, Mitch Marner's going to be a free agent the next year. Those are screw you guys. Those are legit conversations. But yeah, it's like every year, Mike. We just trying to figure out how to properly spend this cap. I would like to stop with the JT Comphers and the Andrew Cops, even though we'll talk about it. Everything looks okay so far. It looks fine. Can't be upset with how they actually look pretty good. But
I think what you're getting at is you are hoping to not get a medium-sized fish. You would like a jumbo-sized fish into the Red Wing boat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and ultimately, it doesn't always have to be through the UFA market, but expiring contracts are where these conversations usually start. Could be through trade, and we're just trying to help somebody out. There's a bunch of things. I don't know if I really want to touch this one, but there is. I mean, we're not going to get into 2024 free agents right now. I don't know. When you're looking at it at the top of the list, I mean, you got to think. I mean, it's not like Darlene's going to sniff it. Another top name on this list, you probably put Tyler Bertuzzi up there. But I mean, Steven Stamkos is having trouble with Tampa, but like, I mean, at 35 at the time. But the big one here is for me, and it was the last episode. He's 25 going on 26. I think you bring him over right now. I don't know what game we're playing, but you're going to have to make some sort of move and work with Vancouver. But Elias Pettersson is the biggest contract that needs to be signed next year. And that might offer Vancouver a good enough amount of space to get her done. So that shit might be selling too. So that's got to be all up to Elias. And if he actually wants to sign with Vancouver, maybe he hates it out west. Anyways, ultimately, look, flexibility, room to make moves. That's what we want.
Yeah, I mean, we're already scheduled to have, my God, like 30 million next season. And so if the cap is going up as projected, whoo.
Brandon, I see your message.
I guess that is factored in. Yeah, 87.5 is like the low end. So we'd have like 30 million to, re-sign Seider. Like you mentioned, re-sign Lucas. Flano, I know that's some people really like him. Probably saying goodbye to Perron at 36, right?
Yeah.
Sprong, I mean, this is his tryout season, so we'll kind of see how that pans out. But I got to think that you can make those moves and then still have a lot of available cap space to fill it with a star.
All right. So real quick, Brandon threw out there the QR code is not working. So let's do this. Brandon, Throwing it in the YouTube comments right now. I guess whoever gets to it first. But I'm hoping for you, Brandon, since you called it out. But I just threw in the link for anybody to join. We've got one spot left, so we'll see what happens. Godspeed, Brandon. Godspeed. So to answer Fethar's question, who are the UFAs? I don't know. You get less excited about them with everybody getting signed. This last month here, but there's other options. Like that's the thing. We need the Yzer plan to turn into some trades, right? Okay. What else do we want to talk about? I guess those guys.
We had this slide of these young people here.
Yeah. I put this picture in there to like transition from like NHL news to Red Wing, and I forgot this would be the next slide, so I didn't set it up at all. So for podcast listeners, it's just a picture of Rasmussen to Misto just kind of celebrating a goal. It's like okay. So basically transitioning now into some Red Wing conversation. You guys like the Red Wings, right?
We dabble, yeah.
I thought we could chat real quick on how you guys feel about Nate Danielson. So there's been chatter on Twitter. I, of course, like I've mentioned before, have been purposefully trying to stay off for my own mental health, but I can't help but scroll through every now and then and see what's going on. And everybody's been mentioning, Danielson should skip the WHL. Ooh. Bring him on up. He's showing enough. LFG. LGRW.
Yes.
I'm trying not to say F because I hear little feet stomping around my door.
BYOB. Yeah.
Right. So Max Boltman throws it out there. Danielson was good again Sunday. It is. But wait, what's a good Max Boltman impression? We used to listen to his podcast.
Danielson was good again Sunday. He's put together 3 nice preseason showings.
Let's pretend it's Cartman talking as Clyde Bear or Clyde Frog.
We do like Max. He's a friend of the show.
I don't know what he sounds like. I mean, off the cuff, I can't do an impression.
It's like, I don't know.
I think yours is about to be less flattering than mine was.
He's got a point. No, like I'm going to try and get too close, and it's going to be offensive. You're right. Okay. He's got a point. I'll do that. Yeah. Let's do a Matt impression. He's got a point in all 3 games, and Sunday he followed in with an early assist.
Your dad
in which he's cycled a pass down to the corner for Daniel Sprong, who coolly scooped it up, took it to the net, and buried it. Another late short-handed strip of Bedard, creating a grade A chance for Edmonton. By the way, who remembers when Nate was picked up, all the chatter about how good Nate Danielson plays Bedard, and then us just getting to see that happen over and over and over? For everyone too, like if you jump to NHL.com, the headline right now is Bedard is the most NHL ready rookie I've ever played with. And that's Taylor Hall's quote. So that guy just gets dominated by Nate Danielson. So I just want to throw that in there for Taylor Hall if he's taking notes. Anywhoozles,
Danielson, his demeanor has not changed from draft night. I know we joked about him looking less than enthused about being drafted by the Red Wings, but the more I see him, the more I think maybe this is just who he is. Yeah. Matt, the closest comp I can think of with his countenance is probably Nikola Jokic, where as soon as he won the NBA title, he's like, I would like to go home now. And Danielson definitely looked like, I've performed well on this shift. May I please go to the bench? Yes,
Which I think this is as good a time as any to mention this.
Yeah.
Have you seen like Bedard just will not come off the ice, and when asked about it after the game, his response is just like, and this is nothing against Danielson, me bringing this up, but Bedard's just like, I love being out there. I love hockey.
I loved how mad Bedard looked that he only got an open net goal. Like he looked mad that there wasn't a goalie in there for him to challenge.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and that's cool. That's like cool anger. I bring this up because there's a lot of hate for Bedard, and I just think
I don't know
Man,
why.
he's like
I'm
the
just rooting for
sweetest.
greatness.
Yeah, he's like the sweetest little sweetie in NHL history, and he's amazing. I know it's gonna be rough. I know he's a Chicago Blackhawk. I know, guys, but we're setting up for greatness, and I know, it's fun. Nate shut him down. Woo, that's fun. It is. It's great. As a Red Wings fan, that's the fun part. I don't know why. Do we all hate Connor McDavid? I like Connor McDavid. But Bedard seems like a human being. McDavid's like a machine. And Bedard's like an actual human that is having conversations with the media. He's talking about cooking, and his mom is like FaceTiming him to teach him how to like make spaghetti. And it's adorable how dumb he is, and he's 18. But
Yeah.
like, I don't hate. I think he's great. I don't know. I think he's great for the sport. He's got a great attitude, and I don't know. You see him go end to end against the Red Wings on that one shift, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, but he didn't score." And it's like, "Yeah, but he just circled around your team 3 times to get to the net." Which I get. I'm a Red Wings fan first, but what can somebody? I mean, is it just hate because he's a Blackhawk? Because I love this kid right now.
Yeah, he can't help that the NHL draft is fixed. That's not really his fault. He can't help that he has stupid laundry that he has to wear every game. No, I'm very excited to see how he turns out. I know a lot of people are upset about and Murdoch throwing in Danielson stealing the puck from Bedard the other night made me smile. Murdoch, a lot of us needed a cigarette after that play. It was pretty orgasmic showing there. But no, I don't understand the hate either. For comparison's sake, a lot of people, Matt, are against like Trevor Zegras, who, he's a bit of a hot dog. As a fan, I can admit he's a hot dog. And at least this kid, he seems pretty earnest, eager to please, and it seems like he really gives a damn. And that kind of personality type is, very endearing to a sports fan, to see people who really give a crap about what's going out on the pitch or the rink or the court or the field. So yeah, for him to be really good and care this much, I'm color me interested, Matt. I want to see more of him.
Yeah, I want to challenge Red Wings fans. Like maybe this is the guy we lay off. Maybe this is the guy we all try to be a fan of, but
especially
I get it.
Because he's not as good as Nate Danielson. So,
Right. Isn't that going to be great if we all just keep saying like Bedard's the greatest, and every time he runs into Nate Danielson, he just gets run over by a truck? It's going to be fun. Yeah. Hey, Brandon got in there. I see him in there. Great avatar, by the way. Picked oh my God, Gene Belcher. I was like, Gene from Bob's Burgers. Love it. But yeah, everybody's thrown in there. Nate looks good. Jim, Nate just turned 19. Great future. Dan B, Nate looks good, but he would need to stay on the roster all year, and I'm not sure that's the best fit for his development. Yeah, I totally agree. So we never gave our take on this. I think he does need to go to the WHL. I think everybody's being a silly pants and just getting way too excited. He does look great right now.
He does
not right now.
He does look reserved to the idea that he's going to be in the minors. I think that's also kind of contributing to his expression, knowing that it's such a long journey ahead.
Right. And what's some of the other conversations we have to have today? We could tease it, right? Or we'll just do it right now. Who's Detroit's number 2 center? We're talking about Compher or Cop. And then we're also trying to put Veleno in this lineup. And there's other guys who have played center before that are settling on the wing. I get it. The future, the better team involves Nate Danielson, guys. And I don't think anybody in this chat is really pushing for him to play in the NHL. So good job, Red Wings Ranters. You guys are smart. But for everybody else, for the other 400 people that are going to listen over the next week, that we love you guys too. Don't force it. This is the cup here.
Matt, when's the last time you watched National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation? Do you remember when they go to the really, really inexpensive buffet and Randy Quaid is ordering some of the blue and some of the yellow? and it's labeled beef and
Yeah.
chicken.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I think I labeled these wrong. And he puts the blue sign back in the yellow sign and the yellow sign in the blue. That's how I
Yeah.
kind of feel Andrew Kopp and Compher are. It's just the blue and the yellow at the cheap, buffet in Vegas. It's not that they're so good, they're interchangeable. Like, man, look at the flexibility. It just kind of feels like, they're fine. They're not going to be big point guys. They might, contribute a little defensively, win a face off. I don't think either of them have the ceiling that Nate Danielson does.
Yeah.
That's the guy who could, actually be a number one center, or, with God, willing, Larkin still, excellent, knock him down to number two. So I don't, the way the, number two is kind of a silly distinction. I think we've talked about it in the past. Like, it's really about, I guess we should talk about it in terms of minutes. And I feel like Compher is probably going to get the number two spot because he probably will score a little bit more than Kopp. So I would probably put my vote there.
I'm going Compher. You guys know. I was actually going to set this up with more of a joke. Like, there's a practical way to attack this question, and then there's the Matt way. Andrew Kopp is absolutely my third center. I don't care if we make this argument the entire season that, the third line and the second line are interchangeable. No. Anytime I see Andrew Kopp, he's my third line. If you get stuck, Michael Rasmussen, if you get stuck with Andrew Kopp and you're pulling in 30 goals this year, I'm sorry. You got demoted. I don't care what happened. Compher gets hurt. Veleno's the second line center. Kopp, you're my third line center, my man.
Yeah.
Somebody who I think is related to Andrew Kopp actually just followed me on Twitter or on X, and it made me very uncomfortable because I was like, it felt like somebody had said, you should follow this show because they hate Andy or Andrew or whatever.
We don't hate him. I just don't want
I know. I didn't want the contract to ever happen. That's
I just want him to play up to that contract number. That's all I'm discouraged by. That's all.
Jared, you need to send Discord invites, by the way. Boom. Check it out, guys. There it is in the chat on YouTube. Discord, anyone? All right, I'm going to watch the rest of the episode and see if anybody joins. Also, it might not work. I don't know. It gave me some sort of warning about how Discord invites work, and I don't have the time to read it.
GLJ,
right.
Welcome, bud. Saying Cirelli is basically Tampa's second line center at times, playing first line minutes, and has never put up more than 44 points, putting us in our place.
Where's
it's like third most recent comment.
Oh, GLJ.
Yeah.
Who's us? Wait. Yeah, I still expect Compher to come down from his 52. I'm not doing it, Mike. And Tampa, Tampa's second line center right now is a lot different from what Tampa's second line center was when they were winning cups. So let's not play that game, GLJ. Damn it.
And they also have elite wings. So we don't have elite wings. We have Debrincat.
I mean, it was Stamkos and Braden Point, and we were always like, who's the number one line here? Like, that's a conversation. We're still having we're still having this, who's number two? When it's obvious who's number one, Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, GLJ. I love you.
Fethter throwing in a vote is for Compher as well. And then Matt throwing Jim Johnson. Kopp hasn't been very good this preseason.
Comment of the
it's
century.
Probably still that core surgery from
you got to give a guy 4 years to
hey, it's not a quick thing to recover from. Again, listen, I don't hate the guy. I wish he could play up to the number that we're paying him. That's all.
Well, Mike, when you have those serious core injuries, the best thing you could do for yourself is turn 30,
I love it. GLJ saying, all good.
Such a terrible signing.
All good friends, just an example of how the model can work. No, that's why I said putting us in our place, because that's a good point. Matt had a good one too. But it just means we probably need some elite wings, which we don't have yet. So
We have one. I'm gonna say
one kind
we have
of.
one for no.
We have one
Debrincat
who was good
is
2 years
elite.
ago. Yeah,
No, he's
good
elite.
2 years ago. Yeah,
Stop it.
Maybe we'll see.
Stop it.
What if he sucks? What if he scores like 15 biscuits this year?
Oh.
Then the Iser plan might be finally over. What if he? Oh, I can't even think about it. He has to be good. Anyway.
No, I love that. I mean, like, there's no way that's gonna happen. But like, if Debrincat puts in 15 goals and plays 82 games, like, what's the conversation for Steve Yzerman in the Iser plan? Yeah. Because it can't be get rid of Steve Yzerman, because we were all saying trade for Debrincat, right? It just turns out we screwed up.
Yeah, Steve's press conferences. You wanted him. I didn't want him.
I don't listen.
Plan. All right, I guess I'll get this kid who can't score. There you go. You got your 15 biscuits. How do you feel
Guys,
about that?
I was gonna Andrew Kopp and JT Compher you to death, and I just had to get Debrincat. All right. Who should Billy Husso's backup be? I like this question because it was an easy Alex Lyon for me. I like to get rid of as many players off of my team that don't support a loving community, I guess, in the NHL. Like, only if I allow you to be an NHL fan will I support you. When you're that kind of James Reimer, like, that's the thing. Like, I want the NHL to be for everyone except for James Reimer. I don't want that. Is that I'm a hypocrite, right? Like, I'm supposed to be accepting of James Reimer and his piece of shittedness.
Sometimes if you do a bad thing, but you're a very good player, it's easier for us to forget, the bad thing. Miguel Cabrera. And so with Reimer, he's not at a Miguel Cabrera level, so it's a lot easier to remember his sins. And I do love that Boltman was like, 19 of 21 shots stopped, and Lyon is at 29 of 32, as if this tally is on a dry erase board in the locker room determining their jobs. But it's, just a little something for us to think about.
But yeah, Vasilevsky, or I mean, like, Tampa is going to have some issues here. So one of the fun things going through like 32 Thoughts right now, or like the Athletic Hockey podcasts, are finding a new goalie for Tampa. And you know what? I take it back. James Reimer having a hell of a preseason. If Tampa's looking for a goalie, absolutely. James Reimer, he's your man. Let us keep Alex Lyon, please. But yeah, that's I like where Dan B's coming from. It's I'm a huge fan of that. Hoping that happens.
The way that the depth chart is currently aligned, it looks like Reimer, and it looks like Lyon will be our top Griffin goalie. But it is 1-1 today in this huge exhibition game against Pittsburgh. And Sprong, has he scored in every game he's played?
I gotta say, Sprong, I was poo-pooing that. I was wrong.
You know what? If they don't play Sir
Mix-a-lot, I shouldn't say I was wrong. He looks really good right now.
Every time he scores, feeling sprung, but Sprong, that's a misfire.
Let me see if can I do this? Well,
GLJ, see, I don't think he's nuts. I mean, Sprong, he's cooking right now. Just put him in the kitchen. Oh boy, Matt trying to get us banned. Here we go. Here's the highlight.
Banned from what? There's no sound. Look at this rip from Sprong, man.
Woo! Bedard, who?
Pittsburgh's goalie sucks, man.
Is it Nedeljkovic still?
Yeah, it's Nedeljkovic. I'm kidding.
No. Did they switch goalies? Because we did.
Oh, did we? I thought we weren't switching goalies anymore.
No, Reimer played like maybe a period, and now that who's that other clown? Aiden Hutchinson. What's his name?
Alex Lyon. He's in.
I didn't even know Michael Hutchinson was playing. A professional tryout. Yeah. So
cool beans. Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, yeah, that was. But yeah, just to talk about Sprong real quick, I guess that might be able to that might transition us into our other topic. Let's. You want to just fast forward? I mean, the last question was which young players can make this roster. That has nothing to do with Spronger. But we addressed this last week. This was our roster last week, including Elmer Soderblom, Jonathan Berggren on the second line, and Simon Edvinsson. I'm sorry, this was 2 weeks ago. We actually did see Edvinsson and Petrie kind of pan out pretty well. Still seeing some mistakes from our boy Simon. Soderblom looked like the guy he should be, like who had a good amount of experience last year. Berggren too. In the last game, who did he get? Ringing around the boards and then whipping it out up front to Joe Veleno. Yeah. Hell of a play by Berggren. Again, like all the things we ever talk about Berggren seem to be like, it looks like he's working through like years of experience because he's always in like a good spot on the power play. And then with that, it's just this, I'm going to keep going around the boards here to bring more Blackhawks towards me, and then it just makes more space for Veleno, and he's got Veleno set up in the perfect spot with how he's shooting, with his shot right in the slot. It was beautiful. It's just, I guess the point I'm trying to make is when Berggren looks good, it looks like he's making like 10-year veteran decisions out there, which I don't know, that works for me, but it's also like, all right, if that's Berggren making the really smart decisions, can you get smarter? Or did we need that brain inside somebody else? Which is an interesting conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like,
did you mean that we're seeing him at his ceiling already? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what we're wondering, right? Like, he's already scoring goals when he's in the right place at the right time for a rebound. He's able to make space and bring his opponent toward him so that he can get other guys open.
Greatness is really defined by, consistency. So he doesn't do that all the time. So I think if he, is able to bring that game for game, that's where he can improve, is just being able to do it every single game instead of having nights where he, disappears a little bit. So yeah, he's definitely not at his ceiling for me. But I was laughing at Jared saying Kubalik edged all of us. Which was a response to Dan B saying, I hope Sprong doesn't tease us like Kubalik did by getting 10 goals in October and then completely disappearing. But yeah, that hot month got us Debrincat, Dan. So maybe Sprong will get us Nylander out of Toronto. Yes.
Yeah, I like GLJ. Is Sprong coming to the top 6? I mean, I definitely have it wrong here, right? This is answering the question of, can you fit some young guys into this roster? Of course you can. And then on the fourth line, you'll have Daniel Sprong putting in 20 goals. So yeah, light it up. It is the conversation. Top 6 is where I think you're a silly team. If you have Sprong in the bottom 6, because he does, I mean, right? Historically, the problem was he's not great defensively. So you got to pair him with the right people. If we're going to talk about Andrew Coffey, the defensive center,
yeah,
we gotta plan Sprong properly.
Because Sprong had that not quite as dramatic, but he kind of had the Verana like goals per minute, right? That's kind of what we were leaning on for that acquisition.
Yeah, not as dramatic, but yes.
Let's see if we can kind of crank up the minutes a little bit, and then he'll just keep peppering in goals. So, I mean, that's an optimistic outlook on it. Yeah, as far as young guys go, and that
well, I was going to say last year we were always like, Michael Rasmussen, get him up to the top 6, and we're doing that again this year. But can't we just have like a well-rounded, like, can't the bottom 6 just stay the bottom 6, and when they're successful, we'll get scoring from the bottom 6, which is kind of what our next topic is all about.
I guess, yeah. I think the problem with our team is that we still have like a bottom 9. I don't know if we really have a top 6. I don't know if our I would have to see Rasmussen take a step for us to have really, a top 6.
Well,
I'd want to feel comfortable with him on the wing.
I do respect, Max Boltman's take that we'll talk about here in a second. The Red Wings are built deeper this season. Can they emulate last year's Kraken? And he basically laid out a lineup that actually sounds better than last year's Seattle Kraken. Maybe we're too close, but easily Dylan Larkin is the superstar between last year's Kraken team and the Red Wings, and this year's Kraken team too. Like he's the highest point getter. He's also, for us, a great two-way forward. So, yeah, Dylan Larkin is the superstar between those two teams. We have the better one player. And top to bottom, we've kind of built out like a bunch of middle 6 lines, which is what the Kraken did last year. But before we do that, Mike, do you know this weekend we're back with another week of football? Actually, kind of starts tomorrow. On Thursday. DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us all in on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw down on any of this week's epic matchups to walk away an instant winner. DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. I have been doing it. I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. I am making bank. Football's more fun when you're in on the action, so download the app now and sign up with the code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner in the NFL, with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana, 21 and up. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. You know what? Real quick. Nobody cares. Nobody cares but me. These talking points spell out, like just put like you would put in a URL, www.1800. No, it spells out .net, like the .net. It spells it out, DOT. It's got that spelled out like 1-800-GAMBLER. Like, and then
I think because they don't want you to make that judgment call. Do I say dot? Do I say period? Do I say, I don't. But I don't totally hate it.
They put Kansas and Louisiana, which I always hesitate on, and then it's void in Ontario. Like, I don't even know if that's accurate, but it just says Ontario, like the.
May I think that
it's not doesn't say Ontario.
This is a good first draft of the complaint voicemail that you're going to leave for somebody that'll never get listened to. But anyway, we can jump back into the Red Wings here.
Right. Okay.
And copy rant. Welcome. The Red Wings built up this year again. They emulate last year's Kraken. Was the main thesis of the last couple of minutes of this episode. And then basically this is just outlining all the acquisitions: Debrincat, Compher, Sprong, Fisher. We haven't really talked about it all, and I don't really see him listed in the depth chart. And Klim Kostin. Not to mention all the defensemen that we picked up. Don't Call Me Whole, the Ghost Bear himself, to go with the bear, the Grinning Bear and Bear Grin. So we've got a lot of bears on this team.
Look, here's where this conversation goes. Max makes a great argument.
He does?
Absolutely. He does. Can they? Yeah, they can.
Will they?
Do you want that?
Do I want to be in the playoffs and be competitive against, a team as good as Colorado?
An injured Colorado? A normal Colorado who's going to be around for the cup for a very long time we'll have no problem taking care of Seattle when they're healthy.
No, but think of all the think pieces that could be written about. Man, look at all that playoff experience we got. Playoff experience.
You know what I really don't want? And nobody wants to hear this take. This should be saved for the end of the takes. I don't want us to be fighting for a playoff spot and to hear everyone say, see, the Yzer plan's working. When we're clearly we're not there. We're not at the Tampa Bay level. We're not at that point. Like, don't you guys want that? Don't we want the 3 straight years of Stanley Cup finals? 2 cups?
Yeah, but
like, isn't that what
we can take a step? I don't think it's saying that you're, the Kraken or bust. It's just saying,
but
what? Can you have a huge resurgence? Whoop, like have a massive point output in the standings.
But then what's next?
Then you write the next article. Can they be the Tampa Bay Lightning dynasty? But which I don't really see because we don't have superstars yet. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this article bothers you a little bit. I think what he's just saying is that can they jolt into the playoffs? And now I have jolt on my brain because of this first sentence here.
No, there's no problem with Max's article. Like I said, I agree with him. I think he made a great case. I'm asking you. I'm asking our listeners. Do you actually want that?
Do I want a team that's competitive night in, night out, so much that they actually make the playoffs and are competitive? Yes, I'll take that. Thank you.
You don't see any negative impact from this, like, moving forward of like, all right, we did it.
No. Next question. No.
See, I'd rather, I kind of want to see it. I want to see the bottom fall out on this. I want to get us another good draft pick.
Oh no.
I've seen a lot of positive. I kind of want to see the bottom fall out, and I want us to get top pick. I want us to be back in the lottery. Like this is scary to me, Mike. I feel like this is the journey that you always talked about, like the middling team that will never win the cup, but is always sniffing a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, floundering is my least favorite thing. But I don't know if I would have called the Kraken floundering last year.
Well, they're floundering moving, like what happens this year? Do you expect the Seattle Kraken to win the cup? Were they wheeling and dealing in the offseason to upgrade that team? Do they have the ability to?
It felt like they were kind of leaning on, internal development. I know what we need. And what we need is only available 2 ways. One is miracle trade. Another is miracle luck in the lottery. We don't have any luck in the lottery. It's pretty evident, Matt, that we just have to rely on Steve Yzerman and his scouts at this juncture. So because he's accumulated enough young guys, they can't all possibly play, at the main, major league level. So, that's where miracle trade is probably going to be a little bit more likely. Cap space growing, being available. You have these extra young guys. You have draft picks because you haven't gotten to that point where you can really trade them away yet. So yeah, I think that miracle trade is the more likely route. And if you want to seduce a guy who, wants to win, be like, hey, we got most of a foundation, so we just need you to take us across the finish line. That's probably a more feasible path to, a championship.
So I'm coming at it from like Dan B's perspective here. Kraken making the playoffs is good for building a fan base, but they're not built for long-term success. Which is kind of like I don't want to see fans like I want to see like angry fans. I feel like if we make it to the playoffs, we're going to be distracted by the end game. We need to keep the pressure down on Steve. Steve needs to fail this year to make a huge move. Like I want Elias Pettersson to look like, oh, this is it. If I don't get Elias Pettersson, this is done. And maybe somebody's laughing at me right now, but I have to believe there's that idea in there. I need that. I need to feel some desperation. I've never liked that we've always had like this. Well, you give Steve, 12 years and then we'll start to assess where he's at. And somebody could argue right now, you make it to the playoffs. What does it matter? You have a shot to win the cup. I get it. But that's not like I'm not scared of Seattle. I'm not going to go into a game against Seattle and go, oh man, you see what they did to the Colorado Avalanche last year? Like, oh, we're in trouble. And even like just looking at them from top to bottom right now, I'm not scared of them, but I would be terrified of the Colorado Avalanche. I want to be terrifying. And I don't, am I wrong? Are we there? I don't think we're even close. We're not terrifying to anybody. We have all these asterisks tied to all of our players of like, oh man, hopefully our second line center can have his career year again. Hopefully this 30-year-old, his core stays together. Don't get me wrong, I love Lucas Raymond, but certainly he's due to just have more goals this year. Okay, sure, because he was a high draft pick, so that's how that works sometimes. So it's just like, right? Like, I feel like we need to like, put Steve's feet to the coals, like let's put him under some pressure. Getting into the playoffs is just going to distract the fan base. They're going to start making money again. The Red Wings selling out games, like for real selling out games, not doing their baloney of like, oh no, they're sold out Little Caesars and the stadium's empty or the arena is empty. Like, I don't know. It's not, again, it's not, Max made a great argument. And he's like, look, you've got Debrincat and Dylan Larkin like that. You've got a legit like first line getting started here. And again, that comes with like Lucas Raymond taking that next step where Seattle, Maddie, Ben years, had 59 points.
Yeah,
is what Max mentioned in the article, and it's like, see, like, yeah, that's right. We can have a better build here than Seattle, so it's possible. Yeah, for sure, we could sneak in, but I don't like it.
I mean,
I don't want it.
I'm the big advocate for doing the tank, or you got to take a big swing on a trade. Because free agency is pretty tough too, and these NHL players are not like NBA players. They're not like NFL players where they just chase a big contract, chase big money. They get wined and dined. They sign mortgages with whoever drafted them. It's really tough to get guys in free agency. So I guess I see where you're coming from, where you seem a little scared that we've made a marginally better team with the off season that we had, but I don't know if tanking is in the cards for this team. You would have to completely, if you are still focused on getting a good draft pick, you would have to make some pretty significant like subtractions to do that. Because even, like before we got Debrincat and we were looking at like Vrana and Bertuzzi as our top goal scoring wings, we knew that there's a lot of risk involved with them injury wise. So even when we had talented guys, it was kind of like with the asterisk that we'll probably only get 40 games apiece out of these guys. Now that you have Debrincat and he's a, knock on wood, pretty healthy player, season in, season out, I think you're expecting more production. And so dismantling would get us a better draft pick. I think we're past that threshold. I think now we're at that next step where it's going to be a little scary.
Yeah,
it's going to be a little scary. All right. Because
you're using the wrong verbiage though.
Yeah, but
you're putting verbiage in my head that's tanking and dismantling.
Yeah, but
you
think that this is floundering because they've made small moves, but there weren't really gigantic moves that we want. Like, I can't really think of a move, maybe apologies to who was that defenseman we wanted from the Devils? He's a top UFA, and we flirted with the idea, and we didn't end up getting him because we had our guys. So I mean, like that move, it's that forgettable. But I mean, knowing that this coming off season, this is going to be the summer that the Maple Leafs fall apart, that Vancouver could be had for the picking. This is the offseason I'm more worried about. So if we can be incrementally good and be on the cusp of greatness, and then know that this huge offseason is on its way, I don't hate the I guess the kind of the timidity that's been displayed by Yzerman, like the
I will
patience and the timidity.
I will say there's a huge difference between me asking the question, "Do you want this?" and me wanting some pressure still to make some bigger moves
I
as
don't know why you
opposed
think
to it.
there's no pressure. People aren't like, okay, this is it. I'm good to go. Like we made this move
It's
because we think we're going to win now. So if there aren't wins with this, I don't think people are going to be happy.
it's a result of that winning. It's a result of making it to the playoffs. It's that's the feeling that comes from that. It's like, oh, cool, things are starting to
I guess
work
I'm
out
kind of confused
organically.
where you're even getting that feeling. I don't think people think this is like, an absolute playoffs team. Is that the consensus?
No, it's based off of this premise. What are you missing? Like this being the end game. Like this happens. I see some evil coming from it. So I'm saying, like, do we even, like, the article was written of like, hey, we could be the Kraken this year, and it's like, yeah, but do we even want that? Do we want to just like kind of dink and dunk into the playoffs? Like, if it happens, I'm not going to actively root for us to get knocked out of the playoffs. So you're saying you do want this? That's my question. You're
Yes.
saying you're
I
saying
I
there's nothing wrong with the playoffs, but I'm asking, do
at
you want
at
this?
at this juncture, I don't think that we're saying the end game is they're the eighth seed and they're just fodder for the number one. That's
No,
not.
that's a different way to use endgame. I'm saying at the end of the season, if this is the result, is this what you were looking for this season? It's almost like I'm
Yeah,
asking,
because
like, it's like I'm saying, like, all right, Max wrote this article, and it's like, okay, great. Like, okay, I guess we'll, that could happen. We could end up being the Kraken this year, but like, did did anybody want that? Did we need did we need to see us become last year's Kraken? No. And back to like Dan B's point too of like making the playoffs was like good for building the fan base, in Seattle. Like, yeah, that's like from a business perspective, that was great. Like make a team that can get into the playoffs, you'll get a fan base excited, they'll be showing up to games for the playoffs, you get a little extra revenue, start to get that feeling. Do I want that? Right? Do I need that for the like I'm bought and sold. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a Red Wings fan. Do I need to know, like, oh, you could be the Kraken of last year and get past a team that had a ton of injuries, and it's like, cool, okay.
yeah, but I think
Do you
the
see what
ex-
I mean? So
the
like then what's the
the
point of writing
extremes.
the article? I guess maybe you were
I
right at
think
the start. Maybe I was just mad at Max for writing this.
yeah. I just knowing.
This is a
Okay,
good point.
okay, so the one thing with the Red Wings, like historically when they've been in the playoffs, is they've had such like supercharged mega teams. It kind of felt like Stanley Cup or bust. Like they were winning President's trophies. They were able to sign every single awesome free agent. Um, it's why I kind of like for this iteration of the Red Wings, I kind of would prefer to compare it to like the Tigers making their way up. In like 04, 05, 06, incrementally getting better, going from god awful 43 wins up to like 60s, 80s, 90s. The Pistons were at one point counting on someone named Michael Curry to play small forward for them. And then they developed after getting swept in the playoffs a couple times into winning playoff rounds. So Max's article, yeah, it's probably just, a little clickbait action, because the implication is it okay with seeing the Red Wings in the playoffs this year, even if they get thoroughly outclassed by a more talented team? Um, and I think I'm okay with it because you're still going to get a middle of the first round pick. And I want to feel like whenever we have these, discussions about bringing in superstars, it shouldn't be like, dude, we're trash, we need you. And the superstar is kind of like, yeah, I know I'm good. I can't be the only reason that you guys are going to turn around. So I want to feel like there's already like some, foundation before you bring in, a big gun. And I feel like playoffs kind of are something tangible you can point at to be like, look, we're making progress. We're this far away from being, where we want to be. And, that's where this other player can make that happen. And because I do think that you kind of have to suck in the playoffs a little bit before you can be good in the playoffs. So I don't hate this idea as much as you do. I feel like this really getting your blood boiling, and I can see value in them getting killed in the playoffs.
Jim throws in there, making the playoffs could bring in more talent. Jared went on top of that one to help bring in more top free agents. I would just say
I think the other
free
thing
agent
too,
market.
Is one of the problems that we have with this team is we don't know how to value some of the players. So if you get in the playoffs against, an elite team, I think you'll kind of have a better understanding of the guys that you can build around. And getting to a point where you've accumulated enough points in the regular season, you would have had to have seen, hey, what kind of money should we be paying Mo Seider? What kind of money should we be paying Lucas Raymond? Both these guys' contracts are up. So if you kind of see like, oh yeah, I could kind of see where, there's some real development here. And, we got our nuts handed to us in the playoffs, but man, these guys still played really well. So you can kind of see where if we fill in a few gaps, this is a team that can compete. So that's where I do still see value to go up against the elite.
I guess like you don't get away from facing good teams in the NHL. Like you're going to face everybody. So you'll get those opportunities to be able to tell if you have good players. So I don't feel like you'll get a higher quality of play, but
yeah, but regular season is different from playoffs, right? I mean,
that's what I just said.
People giving a hoot and, defensively how hard guys are trying, putting their bodies out there. So I think it'll be a real kind of eye-opening experience. And my God, I'd like to see poor Larkin see what playoff hockey's like before he's too old. And Jim Johnson thrown in there. One thing we know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I think Jim sounds like he's on my side. And then Jared with comment of the show, could always build around Patrick Kane. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it.
I don't want to lose sight of like, it's not about like making it or not making it to the playoffs. Wouldn't it be more fun to like go with that night, like to say like, ooh, you're going to be the Seattle Kraken this year. It just doesn't do much for me. There was a point made earlier too about how a team like Seattle gets into the playoffs, a lot of bad teams around them, that they get to get easy wins against. That's something too. So it's just, do you want a season that kind of turns out the way it's supposed to, so that you need to keep taking steps? And I don't want anything to look like we've done enough, because I don't feel it yet. If we go through this and we found out like, yeah, Debrincat's 40 getting close to 50, and it turns out he needed Lucas Raymond passing the puck over to him, and we start seeing that, like, that's a different conversation. The conversation then is, hey, looks like we actually have the guys to build around. Like, do you see how like that's the problem with this question of like, can we emulate last year's Kraken, as opposed to like, if we saw Debrincat get 50 goals this year, what's happened around Debrincat to get us to that point?
So, okay. So your problem is, can we be a team that squeaks in, gets swept, and beat a bunch of dog shit teams to get into the playoffs? Is that kind of what's upsetting you?
Yeah, I think I said that a few times.
Because I tried to be a little more exaggerated with what the question's asking. Because the way, I mentioned too, what I thought about it was,
nobody
you're right.
The episode is not called.
Let's be, the team that beats up on dog shit and squeaks in and gets killed. We we just want to be a team. We're like, I think we'd be okay being the 8th seed and realizing that it's going to take some more time to, move into the top 4 and host a playoff. Have home ice advantage for a round.
I feel like everyone has been. I'm going to give Dan B all the credit here. Everyone's been tackling this incorrectly. Again, like that's the title of the episode.
Hey, don't tell us we're
Red
Wings, Matt.
Do you want the Red Wings to be the Seattle
want.
Kraken?
None of us in the comments were saying, "Hey, we really want to be the Seattle Kraken. We really want to beat up on dog shit, get swept to the first round, and be a cute story that doesn't amount to anything." All of us in here had the consensus that we see, value in progressively being a little bit better, getting, going up into the points where like the totals in the mid 90s and learning what playoff experience is like. So we pivoted the question for you, Matt. We didn't focus so much on Max's headline. We pivoted it for you.
Yeah, but that's where it's such a, like, if I had titled an episode, should the Red Wings tank instead of going to the playoffs this year? Like I've said, I don't want to tank. I don't want to disassemble what's going on. I don't want to like force Lucas Raymond out. I have so much confidence in him. I love him. This wasn't about I want to tank. It was about who gives a shit if we who gives a shit if we emulate the Kraken this year. Like that wasn't a team that you're like, I see all this great stuff.
We started this debate by saying, yeah, but what he's implying is, do you want to be a team that comes out of nowhere to get into the playoffs? That was like the first point I made. And we use the word jolt.
I think that still works. Like the argument still, like it's still about like, how did you get in the playoffs? Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like, are you wanting that? You want to be the surprise team this year. You want to get that jolt.
I want to be a surprise team that performs.
You do?
And yeah, I want to see Debrincat and Lucas.
I got to tell you,
take off. And
I'm enjoying this Detroit Lions season a lot. Where we came in and everybody was like, Lions are gonna fucking roll, and then we started watching from week 1. And
yeah, but that is only because of last year. That's only because of last year when we were on the cusp of the playoffs. Yeah, so we need to have last year first. We're right there, but you don't want that, Matt.
Yeah, but you
just want the part where we're like, yeah, we're awesome now. Which
it's about what you saw.
You skipped the whole stepping stone season.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying I want.
You said that you want the thing that you can't get there without last season. So.
But it's
last season, I'm equating to a Kraken season.
But you could have seen the coaching and the players that they were bringing into this team for the Detroit Lions. And you would say, like, yes, this is all moving in the right direction. But it was, these moves that happened. It wasn't just like, oh, thank God we beat the Packers. Now we're going to be great next year. That's what I'm saying. No, that game was so much fun to watch. But that wasn't what you needed to see. Like, that was fun in the moment, but now like the other moves, like those are the questions we want answered. Not like, could we luck into the playoffs this year? That's where it's like, who gives a fuck if we luck into the playoffs this year?
I know, but I feel like you're arguing about Max to me, but I don't want to luck into the playoffs. Nobody's saying
that's what you said. You said that. You said you want that jolt. You said you wanted to. No, you said let's take out the Kraken. You said it.
I didn't say I want to get lucky and make it into the playoffs. I said multiple times that I wanted to progress to the point where our first line is good enough. My God, we're in the playoffs. I said surprise people with how good we are. Not, we got lucky and we squeaked in because, 4 other team planes crashed into a mountainside. So we get to squeak in by default. That's not what anybody wants, man. Nobody wants 14 planes to crash.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I didn't miss something in the news last year, but I hope that didn't happen with the rest of the Western Division or the Pacific Division. But I think the problem here is we just had an episode that resulted in you arguing one thing and me arguing another thing, and
And
it's gonna
Jared
come up.
saying, new stream title: Max Bultman pisses off Matt. No longer a friend of the show after that headline.
No, I still am not like reading Max's article never even made me angry. I was just like thinking about what like where to take that conversation was just kind of like I remember just thinking like okay, like I was done reading it and I was like I guess he's right. Yeah, we could be Seattle Kraken this year. And I just wasn't jumping out of my jeans for it. Like that wasn't the storyline I need this year. I don't know.
Matt, you'll be a happier person. Just pivot away from the exact emulation of squeaking in and beating up on lesser talent to get killed in the playoffs. Just pivot away from that and just think of the positive side where it means
I'm not gonna. No, we're not
right for us.
We're not changing the episode to. Will you be happy if we make it to the playoffs? That's such a stupid. That's a dumb episode.
People have all spoken. Nobody's as focused on this Max headline as you. Everyone else is okay with. You know what? Yeah, it would be cool if we made the playoffs. Let's see the guys what they look like. Get them a learning experience. And Matt's like, "Oh no, you don't. That doesn't count because not Kraken style. You go in Lion style. All right." You come in, you go 16-0, 17-0, and you dominate. It's like, yeah, but we're not there yet, Matt. Well, I'm not happy.
Never.
I want a high draft pick. I'm like, okay, Matt, what do you want over there? Make up your mind.
Never said that.
Let's go to the tape.
I really hate this episode right now so much.
This is my favorite episode.
No. Because you get the benefit of pivoting the question to.
We did it from the start, Matt. This is our show. I don't care. I don't want to be the Kraken. We talked about it. It's fine. We all agree.
I hate you so much right now.
We're all on the same team, Matt. We're all Red Wings Ranchers.
I hate you. All right. Well, those are all of our slides. So
and Jared, pivot. Jared, you've been cooking today. I'm really proud of you. Curtis saying, cut this out as a segment titled Matt Shoots on Max Bultman Beef. No, I think Matt, you did bring up a fair point because
no, I don't even want to hear this part. This is going to be so condescending.
You did a good job, fella. You did a good job. No,
I hate you so much right now.
It's not hate. You need to figure out what word you're not saying by saying the word hate, and it's love. So no, I understand where you're coming from. Like, I just think that we, the people, we decided that when we saw that headline, we don't think, yeah, we want to be an exact replica. We do want to be in the playoffs. Just a couple comments in here too. Feftar, just laughing emoji. God bless. I think he's laughing at Jared going ham. Dan B, if we sneak in, we sneak in. Shouldn't be the goal though, which I think is the consensus. Jim Johnson saying, kids, settle down. GLJ saying we're trying to build a wagon. Curtis coming in hot again. This fan base and this roster needs to have a playoff appearance. I think so too. Woo! Yeah. Even if they get bounced early, yeah, I agree with that. Jared throwing, I wouldn't be mad if the Wings were the surprise team, just like Florida was last year. Possibly went deep. I don't expect us to go deep. I don't think we're good enough, but you know, it'd be really nice to kind of see what we look like against elite talent. I can't harp on it enough. I'm telling you, Jared, you are cooking today. No one wants, when we were talking about being the Kraken, he wrote, no one wants to be the inferior cephalopod. God bless. Sneezy Wheezy. We haven't heard from you. How you doing, bud?
Comments.
Sneezy saying I wanted young guys to develop, build an elite young core for years of cup contention. I think, yeah, we love that idea. Did I have any others that I really liked? Oh, I don't think we talked to Righteous yet today. How you doing, bud? And Righteous at the start of this at 8:42 said, "We haven't seen 1 minute of regular season play. The playoffs are a stepping stone, and I would welcome it." Yeah, me too. Matt does too. He just was very mad at that headline.
See, no, I like this is what I like with Sneezy Wheezy. I want young guys to develop, build an elite young core for years of cup contention. That doesn't come or go with us becoming the Seattle Kraken, but that's not. I'm just like, I don't. It was never my thing. I don't want it. It can happen. It won't be. We're not going to not do Red Wings rant during the playoff. I mean, last year, like we were talking about, wow, how cool would it be to make the playoffs? And I think Jim said, will the Wings fan base have the patience to miss the playoffs again this year?
Oh man, Jim, I don't think so. I think that is the hardest question we've had in like 3 months. I think they'd be pretty fucking pissed off, Jim, if I may.
And honestly, it looks like a lot of stuff has to go right for
It
that.
does. So many things have to go right.
Yeah, for that to happen. And I like, I would just, I don't know. I want there to be like this discussion of getting deep into the playoffs and not lucking into the playoffs, not surprising people into the playoffs. Like getting to that point, like I want to see more moves on this team. I want to see something where I look at the team and I want other teams looking at us and they're scared. Like that's what I want to have happen. And I will say, like, one point I did get away from it is I do think there is a mentality for a business. Like if we made it into the playoffs, like the Red Wings organization, I hope you all know, like the Illiches will be very happy with a couple of a playoff game, a couple of playoff games. They're going to be absolutely thrilled. And I don't think they actually put pressure on Steve Yzerman, but from like a business, like from top to bottom, when you hit that point, it's completely different than when things aren't quite looking as rosy. So it is something to me still. Like if that was like, all right, cool, we did sneak into the playoffs. Like if that was like when I asked you want that, and there was somebody who wanted that, just like the release of pressure. Now, the way we should go into the playoffs is like every game is like if we win, it's like a fucking miracle. And then when we get knocked out, eventually, we're like, okay, that was fun. But we need to look at next year. We need to upgrade. We need Nylander. We need Pettersson. We need more scoring.
Yeah. I don't know if I really care about the business side.
You don't see like that being a problem? You're a fan of the Detroit Pistons.
I don't understand your point. What point are you making about the business side? That they would be interested in them being in the playoffs?
Well, so the Pistons, they just made that announcement of like, we see what the Detroit fan base is willing to do when their team's ready for the playoffs. So we just want to let you guys know we're ready for the playoffs. Like that was sort of, I was told this story, so maybe I'm wrong, but that was like what Goris is putting out there. And it's like, that's a play. Like you need to make your team better. This isn't a marketing thing. You need to make sure your team continues to get better. Let's not turn this into a marketing play to get people's butts in the seats. I want to see a great team put butts in the seats and confidence. I think if you're honestly, I think if you ignore like those aspects of a franchise, like there's huge consequences that come to nip you in the bud. And I think as Lions fans, we're very familiar with it because for a very long time, the Lions would sell out. And I think as a franchise, they'd be like, who cares? We don't need to make this team any better. Look at this stadium. It's full of people. Who cares?
So
you want to stay away from that. Does that make sense? I don't know how you're we've talked about this for years. This is insane. Everybody, Mike and I have talked about this for years.
I don't know
why he's so confused.
What is the debate? I don't understand.
You don't want like ownership and management to be satisfied with what's coming in revenue wise. You want them to make a winner.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, how have
didn't
you
think
not?
there was that
You've
big
lived
a
in
point.
Detroit this whole time, and we've had this conversation
Yeah,
before
but
about the Lions
I don't
and the Ford
understand why you
family.
think it's such a point of contention. I don't think anyone's really debating that. Everyone wants ownership to care about actually winning.
You
Yeah.
just said the business. Don't worry about the business side.
I didn't say
That's
don't
why I was
worry
trying to make
about
the
it.
point.
That's not at the top of my priority list. We don't even have a team yet. It's not really like a debate. Of course we want them to care. I don't know why we went on this
All right. I mean,
derailment.
okay. I thought
Yeah.
I was answering your question of why would we care about the business side of things, but that's why. That was my point. Okay. I think we're both getting angry at each other now. Can you guys feel it? I think everybody can feel it with that last.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
angry. I just don't even know. It was like saying, well, you know what? The sky is blue. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I could swear you said that's not even a thing. When I absolutely think ownership, and their pressure on management is a thing. I don't know. I could swear that's what you said. That's why I brought it up. I still don't know what your point was, but that's why I brought it up.
Okay. Well, I guess I was
Jim
trying
wants to know
I
where a
was-
wrestling ring is.
Yeah. I guess if you want to bring that point back to where the Red Wings are currently, would that be implying that they brought in some peripheral guys to just become the Kraken? Like ownership said, Steve, I know that you have this fetish for taking a long time and letting things marinate, but we just want to be in the playoffs this year. And he's like, really, at the detriment to our future? And they said, yes. And so he just went out and signed some guys who had hot postseasons. That is an interesting question.
I think
Oops.
that's possible. What's
So maybe go back. Do you have the slide still for Max's article? So what if the question becomes the Red Wings are built deeper this season? Yes. Did ownership say, Steve, can you emulate the Kraken for us? And that's why we have these guys who had hot postseasons and played on, injured Colorado Avalanche, suddenly all accumulated in one off season.
I mean, that's kind of what my point was like, I don't need to luck into the playoffs this year. I don't need the teams in our division to suck so bad that we get 100 points so that we can be in the playoffs this year. Like, that's not what I need. I will take it. Maybe even to Jim's point, I need it. But I don't want, I'm not sitting here hoping like, this could be the year, guys. Like, I want a better team. That's what I want. I guess I need proof of that. That's all I want. And lucking into the playoffs doesn't necessarily mean you have a better team. I know that sounds dumb. It really doesn't mean that, though. We've seen teams make it into playoffs in every sport, and they're not supposed to be there. It's just not. That's the whole point of the episode of like, is that what you want? Is that what like you said? Is that what the Ilitches wanted? Maybe. I mean, they do like money.
I think
I don't know.
I think that's the way to end the episode. Is that what management is happy with? And I hope not.
Do you trust the Ilitches? I don't. I trusted
Do
Mike.
we feel like there's an urgency to move heaven and earth to make things happen this offseason? Do you feel like there's an urgency? I think we all panicked when they didn't get Debrincat as quickly as we thought they would, and it dragged out for a while. But then when they picked him up, then I kind of thought, okay, maybe, because they did have to give up a first rounder. They did have to give up pieces, not our favorite pieces, I know, but still guys who can do something on the ice, even if it's only for the first 10 games of the season. So it did feel like, okay, maybe there is a little urgency here. All right, maybe. But if this off season goes by, the summer of the Maple Leafs, Matt, which I don't know if we're going to tentatively call it that. The summer of the Leafs in Pettersson goes
They
by.
only have Nyland. It's not the Leafs anymore. They already.
Well, they have guys whose contracts are expiring. And we don't make like a big sizzle move. I will probably be pretty devastated. This is the last season of me accepting average.
I like that comment. Otherwise, it's a conspiracy from the Illiches. Right? Okay. Jim throws out there, is this your historic rant? I think he just wants me to stop because then they start. Jared goes, I think so. This is the longest episode since the regular season ended. So I think that's a call for us to stop talking.
Well, next week we got real bullets coming out, guys. So we'll have to have a little season opener and maybe go over our fantasy draft from the weekend. And woo, can you feel it?
I do have to tease now. I'm going to be on vacation the first week of the season, so there won't be an episode the first week of the season.
Oh my God, man!
I know it's a vacation I've had planned for a year though, so it's not okay, but I'm sorry. I do apologize,
Matt. I hope that your time on vacation is only enjoyed at about an 80%. That's my curse for you.
I'm going to enjoy it at 150%.
I hope that your kids complain the whole time and that Dr. Wife gets sleepy and she's like, let's go to bed. No, we got more rides to do. No, I'm just kind of sleepy.
Jared throwing out there, Chris, all about that money. And then Dan B, Miggy money. Miggy money, great point. How about 2 years ago when Chris came and told us Tigers are ready to win, and then they sucked ass? It's the same ownership group. I know we all know that, but I'm not saying that for you, Mike. I'm just like, there's proof. There's evidence. There's shitty.
The last season, I'm taking average. That's the last season. All right,
Dan B, loving the overtime episode. Jim Johnson made up for his holiday today.
Yep, we got 1 more hour, Jim. We're talking 2024
got one more
agency. Let's go.
I know it does. We could have planned like a season preview episode, but there'll be.
This episode went so long. I need a glass of water. Like my voice is gone.
All right. Well, thanks guys for tuning in. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Everybody that hates me for saying
we hated you before.
Whatever
Matt.
I said. Oh, that's true. All right. Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Bye.